Episode 134. Was Nikola Tesla murdered for his free energy patents? Welcome back to the Conspiracy Theory Analyst. I'm Robin. January 7, 1943. New York City. Nikola Tesla, one of the most brilliant minds in the history of science, was found dead in room 3327 of a Hotel New Yorker. He was 86 years old. The official cause of death was coronary thrombosis. He had been living alone, in increasing isolation and poverty for years. 2 days after his death, an agent of a U.S. Office of Alien Property Custodian arrived at the hotel and seized all of his papers, notebooks, and personal effects, a collection estimated at approximately 80 trunks of material. And there, for many people, is where the conspiracy begins. Tonight we examine the claim that Tesla was murdered to prevent him from releasing technology that would have ended the era of fossil fuels, and what the evidence for and against that claim actually shows. Detailed explanation: Nikola Tesla's genius is not in dispute. He invented alternating current, the electrical system that powers the modern world. He developed the Tesla coil, the induction motor, fluorescent lighting, and held over 300 patents across 25 countries. He made fundamental contributions to radio technology that were recognized by the U.S. Supreme Court only after his death, when his priority over Marconi was established. What is also documented is that the final years of his life were difficult, financially precarious, and marked by increasing isolation. His most ambitious project, the Wardenclyffe Wireless Energy Transmission Tower, discussed in Episode 115, had been demolished in 1917 after J.P. Morgan withdrew funding. By the 1930s, Tesla was making claims that some colleagues found credible and others found increasingly speculative, including a particle beam weapon he called a teleforce device, descriptions of wireless energy transmission systems, and other projects he said were ready for development, but for which he lacked resources. He offered his teleforce weapon to multiple governments. There is no definitive record that any government successfully reproduced his claimed designs. After his death, his papers were reviewed by John G. Trump, a physicist at MIT and the uncle of future President Donald Trump. Trump's assessment, declassified years later, was that Tesla's later work, while reflecting great imagination, did not contain practical inventions or scientific findings of immediate value to the war effort. The papers were eventually released to the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, where they remain today. Core elements of the theory: the first element is the murder claim. The conspiracy theory holds that Tesla was killed, either directly poisoned or deliberately neglected until death, by agents of the U.S. government, the energy industry, or both. The motive: he had developed working free energy technology that would have ended the fossil fuel economy and the enormous financial interests built on it. The timing: a wartime government agent seizing his papers within 2 days of his death, is cited as evidence of foreknowledge or planning. The second element is the free energy patent suppression. Tesla's actual patents have been examined by physicists and engineers who consistently conclude that they do not describe perpetual motion devices or over-unity systems, devices that produce more energy than they consume, which would violate the laws of thermodynamics. His radiant energy patent, frequently cited by conspiracy theorists as evidence of free energy technology, is described by physicists as a device for collecting electromagnetic energy from the environment. Essentially, an early X-ray detector, not a system for generating unlimited power. His wireless transmission work was commercially oriented, designed to sell energy, not give it away. The third element is the Amy Eskridge connection. In April 2026, a woman described by online conspiracy communities as the new Nikola Tesla died in circumstances that prompted significant conspiracy speculation. Eskridge had claimed in interviews that anti-gravity and free energy technology had been suppressed multiple times. Her death renewed online discussion of the pattern of researchers allegedly eliminated for pursuing energy suppression evidence. The fourth element is the HAARP connection, the High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, discussed in Episode 87, has been linked by some conspiracy researchers to Tesla's own designs for wireless energy transmission and atmospheric manipulation. The suggestion is that the U.S. government implemented aspects of Tesla's work in classified form, while publicly denying the technology existed. Evidence for and against the evidence that Tesla died of natural causes at 86, after decades of financial stress, social isolation, and declining health, is consistent with the documented record of his final years. He had a history of health problems. He was elderly. The coronary thrombosis ruling was consistent with his physical condition. The evidence that his papers were seized is documented and confirmed. The wartime context: Tesla had offered weapons designs to multiple governments, and his papers included material related to a particle beam weapon, provides a straightforward national security explanation for the seizure. The evidence that his papers contained practical free energy technology that threatened established industries is not supported by the subsequent academic and engineering analysis of what was in them. John Trump's assessment, whatever its limitations, has not been specifically contradicted by subsequent research showing suppressed breakthrough technology in the documents. The free energy claim specifically faces a fundamental physics problem. The laws of thermodynamics, conservation of energy, and the impossibility of perpetual motion are not corporate policies. They are descriptions of how the physical universe operates. No documented Tesla patent or notebook has been shown to describe a mechanism for generating energy from nothing. His wireless transmission work was real and significant, but it was energy distribution technology, not energy generation. Arguments in favor believers argue that the combination of the wartime seizure, the classified review by a government physicist, and the subsequent history of HAARP and other atmospheric research programs suggests that something in Tesla's papers was of greater practical value than Trump's assessment acknowledged. They note that the assessment was made by a wartime official with security obligations, not an independent civilian researcher, and that its conclusion, "nothing of value here," is precisely what would be said if something of value had been found and retained. They also argue that the financial interests threatened by genuine free energy technology were powerful enough to motivate exactly the kind of marginalization that Tesla experienced, and that his poverty and obscurity in his final years were not accidental, but deliberately engineered. Arguments against physicists and historians of science argue that the free energy conspiracy requires overriding the laws of thermodynamics, something that no technology, classified or otherwise, has ever been documented to do. The genuine suppression concern that profitable technologies may be delayed when they threaten established industries is real and documented in other contexts. But energy generation from nothing is a different claim from delayed commercialization of genuinely efficient technology. They also note that Tesla himself, in his final years, made claims that his own colleagues and supporters found increasingly difficult to verify. The trajectory of his late career was one of diminishing experimental output and increasing theoretical assertion, consistent with the natural constraints of age and resource limitation rather than with the output of a man on the verge of a civilization-changing breakthrough. Public opinion and broader impact: Tesla has become one of the most mythologized figures in modern popular culture, a genius who was robbed, suppressed, and ultimately destroyed by the financial powers he threatened. Much of this mythology has a genuine foundation in Tesla's real history. His AC patents were fundamental. His marginalization relative to Edison was real. His financial exploitation was real. The Wardenclyffe project ended for financial, not scientific reasons. The conspiracy theory that surrounds his death extends this documented grievance into claims that the physical evidence and the documentary record do not support, but that are emotionally compelling precisely because the injustice they describe, stripped of its most extreme elements, is largely real. Conclusion: was Nikola Tesla murdered for his free energy patents? The documented record shows an 86-year-old man dying of heart failure after decades of poverty and isolation. His papers were seized in a wartime context with documented national security justification. The free energy technology the theory claims he developed is not supported by the physical or documentary evidence examined since. For believers, the seizure, the classified review, and the subsequent atmospheric research programs are evidence of exactly the cover-up the theory describes. For physicists and historians, the evidence points to a great man's death, imperfectly handled, in circumstances that the laws of physics make it very difficult to interpret as a suppressed energy revolution. What is certain is this: Tesla changed the world. He died in poverty, while others profited from his work, and his papers were taken by a government agent before anyone else could read them. Whether what was in those papers was dangerous to powerful interests, or simply the diminished output of a great mind in its final years, is the question that was decided behind closed doors in 1943 and never fully reopened. This is the Conspiracy Theory Analyst. I'm Robin. If tonight's episode made you think, please rate and follow on Spotify. Tomorrow on the Conspiracy Theory Analyst, the Phantom Time Hypothesis. Were 3 centuries of history fabricated? That's next.